Hey everyone. As I've been thinking about everything that's going on in the world and knowing how smart our kids are, they often know and understand and pick up things more than what we give them credit for. And so we know that there's a lot of anxiety and fear that's been going around. And so what I thought I could do is simply read a story. And so what I'm going to do each week is pick a different room in our church and read the Bible story from the weekend. And then at the very end, read the discussion questions. So that way you can talk about them as a family. You can talk about them with your kids one-on-one, however it is that you choose to do it. Now, I'm not the most technologically savvy person, so I'm doing this straight from my cell phone. So it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment for me to figure out how to work this out. But I just wanted to jump right in and, just kind of let it be what it is. And maybe as I go along and there are people who are more computer or technology savvy people, they'll be able to help kind of work out the kinks. But I've also decided to pick a different classroom in our church to sit in for each of the different stories that I'll read. And so this week I'm hanging out in our classroom for our 2 and 3-year-olds, and we have Gloria the giraffe also hanging out. So this week I'll be reading Washed with Tears, and then I'll read the discussion questions at the end. So we'll try to figure out how to get the pictures in so that the kids can see, and also so that I can still keep reading it. So here we go. Washed with Tears. One night, Jesus went to dinner at an important leader's house. The important leader invited his important friends. They were all just sitting down to eat when a woman walked in. She was not invited, but everyone knew who she was. "Who does she think she is?" the guests whispered. "How dare she?" The woman was a big sinner, and everyone knew it. It was easy to see. After all, she had broken the rules and done bad things. The woman walked straight up to Jesus. She was carrying very expensive perfume. Now, the thing about perfume back then was that it didn't come in bottles, it came in jars. And the jars were made out of precious stone like alabaster. But here's the catch. The jars didn't have a lid or a stopper or anything. So the only way you got the perfume out was if you broke the jar. Once you broke the jar, that was it. You had no more. Most people didn't use perfume because it was too precious. They just kept it on a shelf and looked at it. So you see, this perfume was her most precious thing in all the world. It was her treasure. The woman knelt down before Jesus like he was a king. She held Jesus' feet in her hands and started to cry. Her tears fell onto Jesus' feet, washing them. She kissed his feet and dried them with her long, dark hair. And then she did something strange. She broke the jar and poured the perfume all over his feet. Everyone gasped. "What a waste! Over someone's feet? Such expensive perfume? It smelled like lilies in a summer field." Jesus looked at the woman and he smiled at her. What she had done was the most wonderful thing. Just as Samuel had anointed David, God's true king, all those years before, so this woman had anointed Jesus, not with oil, but with her tears. The important people were cross. They thought, Jesus should not be kind to this woman. That woman is a sinner, they grumbled. We're the good ones. And it's true, they did look good from the outside. After all, they were keeping all the rules. But Jesus could see inside people, and inside in their hearts, Jesus saw that they did not love God or other people. They were running away from God, and they thought they didn't need a rescuer. They thought they were good enough because they kept all the rules. But sin had stopped their hearts from working properly, and their hearts were hard and cold. This woman knows she's a sinner, Jesus told them. She knows she'll never be good enough. She knows she needs me to rescue her. That's why she loves me so much. You look down on this woman because you don't look up to God. She is sinful on the outside, but you are sinful on the inside. The important people shook with anger. Jesus turned to the woman and smiled. Your sins are forgiven, he said. You trust in me, and God has rescued you. Who does Jesus think he is? The important people whispered. Only God can forgive sins. They didn't believe Jesus was God's son. The more Jesus loved people and helped them, the more the important people and leaders hated him. They were afraid people would follow Jesus instead of them. They were jealous and angry enough to kill Jesus. That's the story for today, and here are the discussion questions. Point number 1, the woman who wasn't invited. When do you feel like a not very important person? What kinds of things do people say that make you feel that way? What does God say about you? Point number 2, the woman with a special treasure. Why was this woman willing to give such a special treasure? How can you share your inside love with those around you? Point number 3, the woman who was invited. How do you know you have been rescued by Jesus? And point number 4, the important people get angry. And the question, some people might get upset at the way you love and serve. Love and serve anyway. What does that look like? Thanks for joining me this week, and I'll see you next week.